You're 4 years old. Your father grabs your arm so hard the bruise stays for a week. He calls you stupid. He calls you nothing. Then he turns and tells your sisters they're worth 10 of you. You don't fight back. You never will. Not even when he shoots your dog in front of you, just to watch you break. You grow up, you get married, you have children, you build a business, you throw block parties, you dress up in a rainbow wig and floppy shoes and make sick kids in hospital wards laugh until they forget they're sick. And in your basement, under the floor, you walk on every single day. There are things buried that'll make the entire country stop breathing when they're finally dug up. This is what it feels like to be John Wayne Gacy. And here's the part almost nobody understands. The monster and the clown were never two different people. They were always the same man, wearing the only two masks he ever learned how to wear. You're small, smaller than you'll ever admit out loud. Your father, John Stanley, is a big man with a bigger temper, and in your house in Chicago, his mood is the weather. Everyone checks it before they speak. You're maybe 4 years old the first time he beats you for something that isn't your fault. You've been fiddling with parts of the car engine, curious the way little boys are curious, and you knock something loose. He doesn't ask questions. He grabs you, and the leather of his belt teaches you a lesson that has nothing to do with engines. Dumb, he says. Stupid. He says it so often it stops sounding like an insult and starts sounding like your name. You've got 2 sisters. Your father adores them. He brags about them at the dinner table while you sit 2 feet away. Invisible. You learn early that love in this house is a limited resource, and none of it was ever budgeted for you. You're 6 years old in 1948 when your father, in one of his rages, takes the family dog out back and shoots it. Not because the dog did anything, because he wanted you to watch something die and know he was the one who could make that decision. You stand there. You don't cry where he can see you. You've already learned that tears just make the weather worse. A year later, you're caught with another boy in an incident your father responds to with everything he has. You take it the way you take everything, silent, still, waiting for it to end. Around this same time, a family friend, a contractor who visits your house, a man your father trusts, begins abusing you. You're 8, 9 years old. You never tell your father. You're certain, with the flat cold certainty only a child can have, that if he ever found out, he'd blame you entirely. So you carry it, alone. You get very good at carrying things alone. At 11, a swing at the playground catches you hard in the head. The blackouts start after that, moments where the world stutters and skips like a film strip missing frames. Years later, doctors will find a blood clot pressed against your brain, sitting there the whole time, quietly rewiring something behind your eyes while nobody was looking. You start to understand something in these years. There's the John everyone sees, and there's the John underneath. The one who absorbs the hits and the shame and the silence, and stores it somewhere so deep even you lose track of where you put it. You learn to perform normal. You learn to smile at the dinner table like nothing happened an hour ago. You learn that a mask, worn well enough and long enough, stops feeling like a mask at all. Your mother, Marion, tries. She steps between you and your father when she can. She holds you when he can't see. It isn't enough to stop the abuse, but it's enough to prove to you that not every hand is a fist. And still, and this is the part that'll confuse investigators, psychologists, and reporters for the rest of your life, you love him. You'll say it plainly, decades from now, sitting in a cell. You never fought back because you loved him for what he stood for. Nobody who hasn't lived inside that particular contradiction will ever understand it. You barely understand it yourself. You grow up. You get out from under your father's roof the way everyone eventually does, by building your own life fast, almost desperately, like a man trying to outrun a smell. In 1964, you marry Marlyn Myers. Her family runs Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises in Waterloo, Iowa, and you throw yourself into the business with a hunger that impresses everyone. You're likable, a hard worker. You join the JCs and you're good at it, disturbingly good. The kind of good that gets you elected to leadership positions, invited to the right tables, at the right parties. You've built, for the first time in your life, a version of John that people actually want around. In 1966 and 1967, a son and daughter arrive. And then, in July 1966, something happens that you'll think about for the rest of your life. Your father, the man who shot your dog, who whipped you, who called you stupid at every dinner for a decade, sits you down and says 5 words you never expected to hear. Son, I was wrong about you. He shakes your hand. It's the closest thing to an embrace the two of you have ever exchanged. You'll later describe this stretch of your life as perfect. A wife, 2 children, a business, a father's apology, finally, after years of waiting for it without even admitting you were waiting. But there's a version of you that never got the memo that things were supposed to be fixed now. That version's been quietly building in the dark, waiting for the moment the good life stops being enough to keep it contained. In 1968, that version surfaces. You're accused and convicted of a serious assault on a teenage employee. You fight it, make things worse, add charges on top of charges. You're sentenced to 10 years and serve less than 2. Marlene divorces you in November 1968. The perfect life you described 2 years earlier is gone, dismantled by your own hand. You move back to the Chicago area. You start over, again, the way you've always started over, by building a new surface fast enough that nobody has time to ask about the one underneath. You found PDM contractors, run out of your house in Norwood Park Township. You're a good boss, charismatic, even generous. You hire young men, teenagers, guys in their early 20s, kids who need work and don't ask too many questions about the man paying them. You also discover something that feels almost immediately like coming home. You like making children laugh. You build 2 clown personas, Pogo and Patches, full costumes, full face paint, a closet full of oversized shoes and rainbow wigs. You perform at children's hospitals, parades, charity events and block parties, painting balloon animals for kids who are sick or scared. By every account anyone in this town would give, you're a good man, a funny man, a man who shows up. In 1972, you marry Carol Hoff. That same year, you kill for the first time. An employee named John Butkovich becomes the first name on a list that'll eventually run into the dozens. You tell yourself it was a one-time thing. By the end of 1975, it's happened twice more. 3 names, 3 families who'll spend years not knowing. And still, you go to the parades. You put on the wig, you paint your face white and red and make children laugh, and nobody watching Pogo the Clown wave at a crowd has any idea what's underneath that paint. You've become the most literal version of the mask you learned to wear as a 4-year-old in front of your father. A face on top of a face, a performance covering a performance. In 1976, Carol divorces you, and this is the hinge point. Living alone now, no wife left to notice patterns, no children in the house to keep something like a conscience switched on. The version of you that's been building in the dark finally has an empty house to work in. Over the next 2 years, more than 30 more names are added to that list. Young men, many of them your employees, lured to the house on the promise of work or money. You bury them in the crawl space beneath your own house. You walk over that ground every single day, you eat breakfast over it, you sleep above it. In May of 1978, you stand next to First Lady Rosalind Carter at a Chicago reception, dressed sharp, smiling for a photo printed in newspapers around the country. Community man, Democratic Party volunteer, contractor, clown, killer. All of them standing in that one photograph, and nobody in the frame can tell the difference. December 11th, 1978. A 15-year-old named Robert Piast finishes his shift at Nyson Pharmacy in Des Plaines. Before he leaves, he tells a coworker he's going to talk to a contractor about a job that pays almost double what he earns behind the counter. He's excited about the prospect. He walks out around 9 o'clock that night and never walks back through the door. His mother calls the police within hours. Lieutenant Joseph Kozenczak starts pulling the thread, and it leads almost immediately to your name. You deny everything when they question you on December 13th. But your denials don't add up, and something about the way you talk makes the detectives lean in rather than walk away. At 3:20 in the morning, on the night Robert Peets disappeared, you walk into the Des Plaines police station yourself. Mud on your pants, mud on your shoes. You ask for Kozenczak by name. They tell you he's unavailable. You leave. Nobody yet understands what that mud means, or why you came in at all, as if some part of you wanted to be stopped before you fully understood you wanted it. The search warrants come. Inside your house, investigators find syringes, drugs, handcuffs, and identification cards belonging to young men who aren't Robert Piest. Other names, other families who've spent months or years wondering. Workers who once spread lime in your crawl space at your instructions start talking to police. The picture assembles itself piece by piece, and every piece points down, beneath the house to the ground you've walked over for years without flinching. You're arrested, and once you start talking, you don't entirely stop. 30-some names pouring out across days of interrogation, though you try again and again to make it smaller than it is. You blame others. You claim you can't remember. Some practice part of you is still performing, even now, still trying to manage the room. They find 26 bodies in your crawl space. 3 more elsewhere on the property. 4 more, including Robert Piest, pulled from the Des Plaines River. His body recovered in April 1979, wrapped around a tree beneath the water. 33 names total. 33 families who now know, all at once, what they've been afraid to know for years. Your trial begins February 6, 1980, in a Chicago courtroom, in front of a jury brought in from Rockford because there's nowhere left in Cook County that hasn't already made up its mind about you. Your lawyers argue insanity. The jury finds you guilty on all 33 counts. 12 of those murders happened after Illinois restored the death penalty, so it's those 12 that send you to die. You spend the years on death row painting, clowns mostly. You'll tell people there were more victims than 33, Nobody ever proves a single one of those claims, and it's fair to wonder if even that was a final performance, one last attempt to be the biggest, most terrifying thing in the room. On May 10, 1994, just after midnight, they walk you into a room at Stateville Correctional Center. Your last meal is fried shrimp, a bucket of chicken, French fries, a pound of strawberries, the flavor of 100 ordinary American Sundays. Your last words, reportedly, are, "Kiss my ass." Then the injection starts, and for the first time since you were a small boy standing in front of your father, the mask finally, permanently, comes off. Somewhere still, a few of your victims remain unidentified. Genetic science is slowly, patiently closing that list, one match at a time, decades after you stopped being able to stop it. You were the boy who learned that love came with a fist attached. You became the man who learned that a smile could hide anything if you committed to the bit long enough. Pogo made children laugh. John Wayne Gacy made 33 families bury their sons. They were never two different men. That was always the horror of it. There are a lot more lives worth stepping into on this channel. Some heroic, some unforgivable, all of them true. Subscribe because we're just getting started.